जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज कचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज कचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर महाराज शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Welcome this morning Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. So we are doing Canto 3, Chapter 20, Text 37. Text 37. So text 37 is like little, the text number 37 is little connected with previous texts. So we'll take text 37 and take text 38 as well. So text 37. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, text 37, please repeat after me. Iti shayantanim sandhyam ashuraha pramadayatim pralobhayantim jagrahur matva mudhadhiya striyam. Iti shayantanim sandhyam ashuraha pramadayatim pralobhayantim jagrahur matva mudhadhiya striyam. Iti shayantanim sandhyam ashuraha pramadayatim pralobhayantim jagrahur matva mudhadhiya striyam. Prabhuji, please. Iti shayantanim sandhyam asuraha pramodayate pralobhayantim jagrahur matva mudhadhiya striyam. Iti shayantanim sandhyam asuraha pramadayatim ashura pramadayatim pralobhayantim jagrahur matva mudhadhiya striyam. Iti shayantanim sandhyam asuraha pramadayatim pralobhayantim jagrahur matva mudhadhiya striyam. Okay, word for word translation. Iti, in this way. Sayantanim, the evening. Sandhyam, twilight. Ashura, the demons. Pramadayatim, behaving like a wanton women. Pralobhayantim, alluring. Jagrahur, seized. Matwa, thinking to be. mudhadhiyaha, unintelligent, striyam, a women. A translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The Asuras, clouded in their understanding, took the evening twilight to be a beautiful woman, showing herself in her alluring form, and they seized her. Purport. The Asuras are described here as mudhadhiyaha, meaning that they are captivated by ignorance, just like the ash. The demons were captivated by the false, glaring beauty of this material form, and thus they embraced her. Okay, we'll take text 38 as well. I'll go through the translation. With a laugh, text 38, with a laugh full of deep significance, the worshipful Brahma then evolved by his own loveliness, which seemed to enjoy itself by itself, the host of Gandharvas and Apsaras. Purport. The musicians in the upper planetary system are called Gandharvas, and the dancing girls are called Apsaras. After being attacked by the demons and evolving a form of a beautiful woman in the twilight, Brahma next created Gandharvas and Apsaras. Music and dancing employed in sense gratification are to be accepted as demoniac, but the same music and dancing, when employed in glorifying the Supreme Lord as Kirtan, are transcendental, and they bring about a life completely fit for spiritual enjoyment. Okay, listen to Mangal Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupa Kada Mahiyam Dadati Shapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guruho Shri Utapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatham Ditam Tam Shajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakha Amritamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahabadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaur Tushe Namaha Vansha Kalpataru Vesha Kripa Sindhu Vyaye Bacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna. Welcome again this morning Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. So again I'll read one time text number 37. The Asuras, clouded in their understanding, took the evening twilight to be a beautiful woman, showing herself in her alluring form, and they seized her. Like we discussed in our previous previous classes as well, like how living entities, after coming into this material world, they accept the material body and they think themselves to be material body. They forget their original position as the Krishnera Nityadas, as the spiritualist work. They forget that their position. They forget themselves. They don't know themselves. And they are in ignorance. They are thinking themselves to be the material body, which is not actually. They are the spiritualist work. But they are thinking themselves to be material body. That is called ignorance. And they are thinking themselves to be material body. For them, the only way to become happy is to gratify their material senses. Somehow or other gratify their material senses is the only way to be happy. And all the ignorant living entities, they just work only for sense gratification. Only for sense gratification they work. And they create so many karmas. And they suffer that karmas lifetime after lifetime, lifetime after lifetime. They suffer that karmas. And they entangle themselves in this material cosmic manifestation or material world. They entangle themselves, which is padam padam jat pibadam. This material world, sansara dhava nala lead haloka, we sing every morning. This is just like the forest fire. Forest fire. When there is forest fire, all the living entities, all the animals, all the birds, all the wild animals, wildlife, they all suffer. They all suffer big time when there is forest fire. Similarly, this material world is also considered as sansara dhava nala lead haloka. Just like a forest fire, just like a blazing forest fire. Just like the wild animals in the forest, when there is wildfire, they have to suffer, they will suffer. Same way, after coming into this material world, after coming to this place, which is just like the Davanal, which is just like the forest fire, we have to suffer, and we will suffer. But demons, but the ignorant living entities, they don't know that. They don't know that. They keep on doing the things, they keep on endeavoring this way, that way, this way, that way, to gratify their senses, somehow or other to be happy. And again, they entangle themselves like that. They entangle themselves like that. But the real happiness is in the spiritual platform. We discussed like that last time. Real happiness is in the spiritual platform. Real beauty is not this material world. Real beauty is the Shri Radha Gopinath, Shri Radha Krishna. Radha Krishna is the real beauty. So we discussed this in our previous classes. So we'll go to text 38 now. I'll go to the purport directly, text 38 purport, where Prabhupada is saying like music and dancing employed in sense gratification are to be accepted as demoniac. But the same music and dancing, when employed in glorifying the Supreme Lord as kirtan, are transcendental, and they bring about a life completely fit for spiritual enjoyment. Same thing coming, like the real happiness, real beauty, real pleasure, real bliss is not in this material world. Real happiness, real beauty is in the spiritual world or in the spiritual platform. Same thing is coming here. So Prabhupada is saying, music and dancing employed in sense gratification are to be considered as demoniac. But when same thing we employed to to glorify the Supreme Lord, to glorify Sri Radha Gopinath, that is known as kirtan, and that is transcendental, and that is blissful, that can give us the real happiness. That's what Prabhupada is saying. That's what Prabhupada is saying. So, for example, there is someone, and he has got so many properties. He has got big house, he has got big car, big bank balance. Like he has got really so many properties, so much of properties. That means the properties is supposed to give him enjoyment. That means if he is the owner of that property, if he is the proprietor of that property, the property is supposed to give him pleasure. The property is supposed to give him enjoyment. It's supposed to give him enjoyment. Similarly, if we see, whatever we see, whatever we can imagine or beyond that, that is nothing but an expansion of energy of Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matta bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. I am the master of all. Krishna is saying, I am the master of all, and everything is coming from me. Matta sarvam pravartate. Everything is coming from me. So that means whatever we can see, whatever we can imagine, and beyond that, everything is coming from Krishna. Everything is expansion of energy of Krishna. That's why everything is supposed to give pleasure to Krishna. Everything is supposed to be utilized for the pleasure of Krishna. But those things, when not utilized for the pleasure of Krishna, where those things, when not dovetailed for the pleasure of Krishna, then that becomes material actually. That becomes material, And that creates the entanglement for the living entities. As I already mentioned, everything is coming from Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhu mattah sarvam pravartate. Everything is coming from Krishna. So everything is supposed to give him the pleasure. Everything is supposed to give him the pleasure. We have to understand everything is coming from Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, earth, water, fire, air, ether, everything is his energy, expansion of his external energy. Bhumi rapo nalo vayu khammano buddhir evacha. Ahankara ityamte bhinna me prakriti ashtada. Krishna is saying, earth, water, everything, earth, water, fire, air, ether, everything. This earth, water, fire, air, ether, these all are used. From this all the entities or the elements, the material cosmic manifestation is formed. Material worlds are formed. So that means all the material world is again energy of Krishna. So this has to be utilized in the service of Krishna. This has to be utilized in the pleasure of Krishna. Let's go back to the example that I gave. There is I gave the example. There is one rich man. He has got so much of property. That all property has to be utilized for his pleasure. If someone comes and tries to seize that property, tries to steal that property, and tries to use that property for his sense gratification, then that is like he will be caught by police. He will be caught by police. That is like illegal. He is doing mistake and he will be caught by police. Same way, living entities, after coming into this material world, they all have accepted their material body and they all are thinking themselves to be material body. That means they all are in ignorance. They all are in ignorance. They don't know. They don't see the things as they are. They don't know the things as they are. And that's why whatever they say, whatever they see, they think this is for my enjoyment. This is the problem actually. This is the material life. Whatever we see, when the living entities, ignorant living entities, they think this is for my enjoyment. This is for my enjoyment. They think, and that's the problem. That's the material life. Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, sense gratification is the material life. Sense gratification is the material life. Factually, as we already mentioned, aham sarvasya prabhu mattah sarvam pravartate. Factually, everything is Krishna's energy. Everything is supposed to be utilized, supposed to be dovetailed in the service of Krishna, for giving pleasure to Krishna. But the living entities, but the ignorant living entities, they don't know that. Whatever they see, they think for their enjoyment only. And they try to utilize all the things. They try to use all the resources for their own sense gratification. And again, they create karma, they entangle themselves like that. And they have to suffer. Sometimes they accept the body of the animals, sometimes they accept the body of the trees, sometimes they accept the body of the aquatics, sometimes human beings, sometimes higher planetary system, lower planetary system. That's how they keep on traveling, all the ignorant living entities. But Mahaprabhu says, Hey Rupe, Brahmanda Vramite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev. Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Bij. If living entity is fortunate enough, while in the process of going up and down, while in the process of changing his body, if he is fortunate enough, he will get the association of the sadhus. He will get the association of the real devotee, pure devotee of Krishna. And he will get the chance to hear about Krishna. Brahmanda Bhamite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Bhai Bhakti Lata Bij. And when he gets opportunity to associate with the real sadhu, and when he gets the opportunity to hear Harikatha from the real sadhu, that will change his heart, that will change his consciousness, that will purify his ignorance. And he starts to see things as they are. And he knows these things are not for my enjoyment. Actually, these things are expansion of energy of Krishna. So these things are supposed to be utilized in the service of Krishna. These things are not for my enjoyment. Rather, these things is for the enjoyment of Krishna. And then only living entities. He starts to think like that. He starts to see the things as they are. And his life become perfect. That's why sadhu sangha is very, very important. Sadhu sangha is very, very important. Sadhu sangha sarva shastra kahe. Loba matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. Loba matra sadhu sangha. Loba is not even a second. Prabhupada used to say, just fraction of time, not even a second, just fraction of time, if we get opportunity to see the sadhu, that can give us Sarva Siddhi hoy. What is that Sarva Siddhi? Sarva Siddhi means that to achieve the lotus feet of Sri Bhagavan, to go back into our original constitutional position, to go back into our original, to revive our original eternal loving relationship with Supreme Lord. That can be achieved just by sadhu sangha. We can. There are so many examples. There are so many examples in the Shastras. Just like we hear the story of Mrigari. He was so demoniac. He was so demonic. He used to half kill the animals. And he used to leave that animals struggle to live. And when that animal is struggling for living, he used to see that and he used to take enjoyment out of that. That was his consciousness level. That was his consciousness level. That was his position. But one day, fortunately, such a great fortune of Mrigari, fortunately, he get opportunity to see the Narad Muni. Narad Muni became compassionate upon him. And Narad Muni gave him the instruction. Narad Muni gave him the knowledge. And according to the instruction of Narad Muni, he did the tapasya. He chanted the holy name of the God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He chanted the holy name of the God. And he became purified. Before he was seeing the half-killed animal, the struggling of the half-killed animal. He used to see that and he used to enjoy. That was his position before. But later, after chanting the holy name of the God, after getting the association of the Narad Muni, after hearing the instruction of Narad Muni, after hearing Harikatha from the mouth of the Narad Muni, that completely transformed him. And when Narad Muni, after his sadhana, after his penances, after his chanting the holy name, when Narad Muni came to visit him, he was running to pay his obeisances to the Narad Muni. And at the same time, he happened to see the small ants coming in the way. And he stopped there. He was so compassionate even for that small insect, small ant. He was so compassionate. That means he started to see the things as they are. That changed his consciousness. That purified his consciousness. That's why it is very, very important. Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastra ko hai. Lava matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi hai. Why Sadhu Sangha is very, very important? Tomara hridaya sada Govinda Vishram, Govinda kahena mora Vaishnava Paran. Govinda, Sri Bhagavan Sri Hari, Supreme Purifier, Param Dham, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Pavitram, Supreme Purifier. Actually, what is the contamination? What is the contamination to be purified? Contamination is, even though I am the spiritual spark, even though I am the spiritual soul, I am thinking I am this body. This is the contamination. I am thinking I am this body and all things that, whatever I see around me, they are for my enjoyment. This is the contamination. And when we see the things as they are, when we understand our position, no man, I am not this body. I am the spiritual spark. I am the part and parcel of Krishna. I am the part and parcel of Govinda. I have my loving relationship with Govinda. Somehow or other I have forgotten this, but I am the eternal servant of Govinda. And all the things, whatever I see around me, that has to be utilized for the service of Govinda. In fact, I am the servant of Govinda. When the living entity starts to see this, when living entity starts to think this way, that is the purification. And the sadhus, real devotee of the Krishna, real devotee of the Govinda, Tomara hridaya sada Govinda Vishram, Narottam Das Thakur sings. Tomara hridaya sada Govinda Vishram. He's praying to Vaishnav. He's praying to the sadhu. He's praying to the real sadhu, real devotee of the Govinda. Tomara hridaya sada Govinda Vishram. In your heart, Govinda always sits. Govinda is always there in your heart. Govinda kahena mora Vaishnava Paran. Govinda is always residing in your heart. And Govinda is saying, you Vaishnav, my dear Vaishnav Thakur, you are the life and soul of Govinda. Govinda is saying like that. That's the position of the Govinda and Vaishnav Thakur. That's the position of the Sri Bhagavan and the Vaishnav Thakur. And he's always carrying that Supreme Lord in his heart. And whenever someone comes in contact with the sadhu, he has to be changed. He will be changed. Why? Because Supreme Purifier, Sri Govinda, Sri Hari is in the heart of the sadhu. He has to be purified. That's why sadhu sangha, sarva shastra ko hai. Lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hai. In the same song, in the same bhajan, Narottam Das Thakur says, Ganga ra parasa haite paschate pavan, darsane pavitra kari yehi tomar gun. That's the glory of sadhu. Ganga. What is the Ganga? Ganga is the water, causal ocean. We were discussing last time. Mahavishnu, Karanodakshai Vishnu, is lying in the causal ocean or Birja river. He is lying in the Birja river, and in that Birja river, he exhales. And from his exhalation, all the material universes comes into existence. We were discussing like that. Same water, same causal ocean, same Birja river came into this material world. There is a story of Vamandev and Bali Maharaj. When Supreme Lord Sri Bhagavan came as a Vamandev to give relief to Indra actually. Somehow or other, there is big story. There was a fight between demons and the demigods. Demons and demigods fight, and the demons won over the demigods. And the demons, they seized the heavenly kingdom. The head of the demon was Bali Maharaj. He is also a great devotee. And somehow or other, Indra was kicked out of the heaven, and Bali Maharaj was the controller power of the heaven, or king of the heaven, taking the position of the Indra. Somehow or other, Bali Maharaj was taking the position of Indra. And Indra's mother became so much anxious to see her son suffering, see her son being kicked out of the heaven. She was in problem, and she started to do penances and austerities to please the Supreme Lord. And somehow or other, she pleased the Supreme Lord, and she asked the benediction, my son is like this, please rescue him. Like that, she asked benediction to the Supreme Lord. And Supreme Lord accepted, Sri Bhagavan, he accepted to become the son of Aditi, that means mother of the Indra. And he came as a Vamandev. And he went to at that time, at particular time, Bali Maharaj was doing sacrifice. And at that time, Vamandev came there and asked for the bhiksha, like 3 steps of the land only he asked. He took a small form, he took a small dwarf form, and he asked bhiksha from Bali Maharaj, only 3 steps of land. And when Bali Maharaj agreed, okay, I'll give you this, and he increased his form. He is the Supreme Lord Sri Bhagavan. He increased his form, he increased his size, and he was like taking the first, second, third step. At that time, he happened to break the covering of this material universe, break the covering of this particular universe we are sitting in. He broke that covering of the material universe, and from that break, there is a small like breakage or a small hole we can say, and from that hole all the causal ocean came into this. Material world. This is how purifying, this is how sacred Mother Ganga is. And she is causal river, she came into this material world as Ganga. This is how sacred, this is how purifying Mother Ganga is. Why she is so sacred? She is the like causal ocean, water of the causal ocean, and she washed. She happened to add when Vamandev like break the covering of the universe, the water happened to wash the feet of the Vamandev. She has washed the feet of the Vamandev. She has washed the feet of the Sri Bhagavan. And in fact, Mahavishnu is lying in the same water, but same water. And that water has come into this material world as a Ganga. That's how purifying, that's how sacred Mother Ganga is. But the Narottam Das Thakur is saying, Ganga ra parasa haite paschate pavan. That Ganga is so sacred, Ganga is so purifying. But to become purified, we have to take shower in the Ganga. Narottam Das Thakur is saying, we have to take shower, we have to take bath in the Ganga, and then only we can become purified. But my dear Vaishnav Thakur, you are so purifying that just by seeing you, we become purified. Like that Narottam Das Thakur is saying. Narottam Das Thakur is saying like that. That's why Ganga ra parasha haite paschate pavan darshane pavitra kari yahi tomar gun. That's the glory of the Vaishnavas. That's the glory of the sadhus. That's why sadhu sangha sarva shastra ko hai. Lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hai. We all are practicing Krishna consciousness. We all are practicing Krishna consciousness now. Somehow or other, some point of time, we all have been affected by the sadhu. Somehow or other. Otherwise, we couldn't be here. Somehow or other, we all have heard something from the sadhu. We all have read the literature of the sadhu. We all have got little association of the sadhu. We all have heard something from the real sadhu. That's why we are here. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. That's why sadhu sangha sarva shastra ko hai. Lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hai. We should give intense priority for the sadhu sangha. When we are in the ignorant condition, we cannot understand this value of the sadhu sangha. When we are in the gross ignorant condition, we cannot understand the value of sadhu sangha. No. Why? We are thinking ourselves to be material body, and we are thinking sadhu is also material body. He is also just like me. We are thinking like that. We cannot understand that. We have to be sober. We have to be inquisitive. We have to read the shastras, and then only we can understand what is the position of the sadhu, what is the position of the bhakta. And then only we can understand what is the value of the sadhu sangha. Otherwise, we will see sadhu, we will think themselves to be ourselves, and we will commit offense. That's how risky to be ignorant is actually. That's how risky to be ignorant is. That's why padam padam jat bipadam. When we are ignorant, very, very risky. Very, very risky. We turn this way, we turn that way, we do this, we do that. Only entangling ourselves. We are only pushing ourselves more. We are only degrading ourselves. That's why it is called padam padam jat bipadam. Padam padam jat bipadam. This is the material world. And the sadhu, when we get the opportunity for sadhu sangha, we can please them in two ways. My Gurudev used to say. One is Bani Seva and one is Bapuhu Seva. Bani Seva means following their instructions, hearing Harikatha from them, asking about the Supreme Lord about them, being inquisitive about the Supreme Absolute Truth from the sadhus. One way that, and other way is we can give them the bodily comforts. It's like we can provide them the nice facility of the accommodation, nice facility of the prasadams. We can give them the nice massaging facilities like that. Two ways we can please the sadhus. But Prabhupada used to say, most important is not Babu Seva, most important is Bani Seva. Most important is Bani Seva. Yesterday only, I heard from one of the senior Vaishnava, he was saying, hearing is very, very important. From the time, like when we are in the mother's womb, at that time, our seeing senses, touching senses not developed nicely. But at that time also our hearing senses is developed nicely. Hearing senses is developed nicely. And at the time of death also, all our senses, seeing, hearing, seeing, touching, feeling, all the senses, they all quickly becomes inactive. But hearing senses is active till the last point of our death. Till the last point. From the very beginning up to the very last, our hearing senses is active. And why is that? Because for hearing. Because the hearing is very, very important. Hearing is very, very important. That's why when we got the chance of Sadhu Sangha, we have to hear about Sri Hari. We have to hear about Sri Bhagavan. We have to hear about Sri Krishna from the sadhu. And then we can purify ourselves, and then we can make our way back home, back to Godhead. We can make our way like that. Otherwise, we will keep on entangling ourselves, and we will keep on suffering again and again, again and again. So that's the importance of Sadhu Sangha. So the Prabhupada is saying, in the translation again, in the purport again, music and dancing employed in sense gratification are to be considered as demoniac, but the same music and dancing when employed in glorifying the Supreme Lord as Kirtan, are transcendental, and they bring about a life completely fit for spiritual enjoyment. Yeah, same thing is coming. Like whatever things Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, there is nothing like material and spiritual. No. There is nothing like material and spiritual. Because everything is energy of Krishna. Everything is energy of Krishna. That's why everything is spiritual. But there is material and there is spiritual things only for the conditioned souls. Only for the conditioned souls only. Only for the conditions there is material and spiritual. But in the reality, there is no such thing called material and spiritual. Because everything is energy of Krishna. Everything is expansion of energy of Krishna. So, we have to be able to utilize everything for the service of Krishna. And Prabhupada often used to say, Krishna consciousness is so wide. Krishna consciousness is so wide and so wide. So we should be able to utilize everything for Krishna. Krishna consciousness is not limited. Prabhupada used to say like that. So, yeah, whatever we see, whatever we do, we can dovetail that in the service of Krishna. Even our anger, even our lust, even our greed, envy, these all can also be utilized in the service of Krishna. We see the example of Hanumanji. He employed his anger in the service of Krishna, in the service of Sri Bhagavan. And the gopis in Vrindavan, they dovetail their lust in the service of Krishna. So, and Prabhupada used to say, in the spiritual world, they utilize envy in the service of Krishna. How? Like if some devotee, some associate of the Supreme Lord is serving the Supreme Lord, serving the Krishna nicely, properly, other associate used to think, oh, he's serving so nicely. That is very nice. I will also serve nicely now. Like that, they dovetail their envy, like that, in the service of Krishna. So like that, Prabhupada says, everything can be utilized in the service of Krishna. Everything can be utilized in the service of Krishna. So we can learn these all things by Sadhu Sangha again. By our own, we cannot understand this. We cannot learn this. By Sadhu Sangha, by reading the literature given by Sadhu, by hearing the Sadhu, we can learn these all things. How we can dovetail everything in the service of Sadhu. Service of the Sri Krishna. That way we can free ourselves from the entanglement. We can make our way back to Godhead. So with that, I would like to stop here. If there is any comments or correction, please. Yes, Prabhuji.
Just going by the purport.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Are Gandharva and Apsara ganas, music and dancing, are they employed in sense gratification or kirtana, devotional service? How do they engage?
Very nice question, Prabhu asking. Are Apsaras and Gandharvas utilizing their arts for the sense gratification or the devotional service? I don't know exactly. I exactly don't know what they are utilizing for. But in some of the Krishna Leela, just like Kaliya Daman Leela, at that time we can hear that they were playing drum. When Krishna was dancing on the hood of the Kaliya, they were playing drum and they were showering flowers, they were dancing. So if that is the case, that's devotional service. And other than that, I don't know, Prabhu. If anyone of the Prabhu want to add, please, on this. Yeah. Sense gratification.
Occupation is to entertain Indra. They can also employ those skills for satisfaction.
Yeah. The point is, Prabhu, when the arts utilized for the Krishna, that is devotional service, and other than Krishna, everything is demonic. That's the point. Okay, I'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki, Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai.